Mm. All right. As I had promised, I was going to do the stream on Boo, and now we can initiate what we've been waiting for, I suppose. Um, so what a good way to start this off. So I will say that probably the best way to divide this is that I'm a big fan of Fat Boo or Good Boo or Innocent Boo, whichever term you'd like to use. But the other forms are kind of sort of meh. I'm not that big on the rest of them. But anyways, I guess we should start from the beginning. So uh, Boo has probably one of the most, I guess, distinctive designs for a villain because we always kind of got used to this sort of muscular, sometimes short, sometimes tall antagonist. But usually they all had that same general physique. And when we initially see him, he's completely just the opposite of that. Do you read? Uh, I mean, I thumb it up. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm not about to insult your tweets. You might write a mean one about me in response. Yeah, I've seen some people who try to compare him to Patrick, and it's really kind of annoying because again, Boo was made before, like by what, a good 10 years. So, anyways, he's got one of the most distinct designs. He has this really just, I guess, the first knock against his character is not necessarily something he does, but just I mentioned before that I really think they wasted Deborah, Demon King and all that, and just they pretty much use him to make Boo look stronger, to have him get completely annihilated in the fight, make him more intimidating. But he has this really great fight with Majin Vegeta that basically ends with Vegeta pretty much wasting his own life because it does nothing to actually beat Boo. And I've seen some people who I guess have converted from my side because I had said that I wanted Majin Vegeta's explosion to kill Boo, and then Babidi would find a way to like bring him back with the Dragon Balls or to basically make the death have happened, but also not prohibit him from still being in the arc. But instead, we got a good fight and a completely useless sacrifice. Like it's good for Vegeta's character, it just doesn't actually change any of the story. Oh yeah, I'd like to see the Boron fighters as well, and especially since they put Janemba in there. Yeah, what else is there to mention? The concept has nothing to do with the main Saiyan thing. That's why I understand that people, why I understand people that wanted Broly to be the villain instead. I mean, whatever. Well, I said before that he out of the main villains of Z, he's the one that just comes out of nowhere. Hey Dio, notice how Deborah forgot he could turn people to stone when he fought Boo. He's just like, oh, I know I can turn him to stone, but I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use this little spike thing. It makes a lot more sense. But no, I said Boo's the only one of the villains that just comes out of nowhere because Cell was related to the Red Ribbon Army from the original series, and then Frieza's tied into Vegeta, who's tied into Goku's I guess race. So I've said that before. He's the only one that isn't part of that. But I already said the Boo arc. We've given it criticisms of her in the past. At least I have anyway. His power level is higher. He could just shrug it off. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think what it is that the writers get. They love doing this thing basically where if a character has a power that can break a story, instead of making villains that are not affected by those powers, they just don't use them, or they just like they forget basically while they're fighting. Yeah, he had a cool fight with Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Um, got rid of Babidi after that. Babidi was just kind of this little gremlin thing that was following him around, giving orders, and probably the least interesting of the. I guess you could say the Buu arc has three different antagonists that aren't Buu. You know, Deborah and Babidi, and then also Majin Vegeta. So I was glad when he got murdered. What else is there to mention? He fights Go Tanks, and then okay. So one of the things I like about Boo, just in the context of his own arc, is that they bring back Hercule, who in the Cell arc I kind of didn't really think that much of because he just kind of is there, and is still important to the Cell games, but I just don't really like as a character that much. The show writers, there were no show writers. That was Toriyama who realized it. But yeah, I was gonna say that his character really changes the way I feel about Hercule. It's like the only time Hercule is really a sympathetic, somewhat interesting character, like Drew Boo, and it comes completely out of nowhere, and it's got this just it's nice because it doesn't, even if I guess Boo is childlike and Hercule is obviously the one that's like giving orders. It never feels like he is afraid of him after they become friends. Like they're just kind of these equals in a way. They had a whole movie saying that they needed energy donated from five different Saiyans. Oh, me either. The writers forgot. It's like how they said Vegeta had Super Saiyan God and he found it on his own. No, they wrote specifically that's not how it works. Well, that's just a plot hole. They screwed up their own story. And then people were getting mad about what was it, Kakarot, because they had it to where future Trunks is in the ritual instead of Videl. I saw some people getting upset about that. He's an old character. What was I going to mention? Okay, so this is where we get into the crap territory. So roughly around the time the Hercule relationship starts is when we get the part where Boo splits from his evil self, which I'm kind of disappointed. He's such an important character, Evil Boo. The gray one that's all skinny, and we really don't see him in anything at all. Like I remember he's playable in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and he's got maybe 2 or 3 whole minutes of screen time, or maybe 2 or 3 pages of actually being in the show. He's just one of the least lived characters in the entire series. Anyways, and they expand the fight in the show versus the manga, which is a couple of panels. Uh, so this is what I was talking about, where I said that I really like Fat Boo, but Super Boo and the other forms start to kind of like dwindle for me. They're not as interesting in my opinion. But I still wouldn't call them bad villains because each respective form of Boo is still a worthy antagonist. I remember one of the things I liked about Cell before he got his perfect form, which has the best design, was that he had a character of, yeah, one episode, he had a character of basically just wanting to become perfect. I got to do whatever it takes to get my final form. And it's like right around the time he gets his final form where it just kind of, the plot for the Cell arc gets a little weaker for me because he had this really distinct character quirk and they got rid of it and basically turned him into Frieza Jr. So with with Boo when you get rid of Fat Boo and you have Super Boo. He kind of just reminds me of a blander version of Cell. It doesn't even. It's also worsened by the fact that he can absorb people just like Cell. So Fat Boo is interesting. Super Boo is just kind of he's an impending threat. I really like the moment where he puts his hand up and just kills everybody on Earth except for I think it was Tien, Shao Tzu, and then maybe two or three other people that didn't die. But outside of that, he's just kind of whatever. Oh man, I'm not even monetized. I can't believe it. I feel so bad. Oh, I gotta wait until after the stream is over. They're slick. They got me. I can't get my coins. Spiritual Frieza, even Frieza and Vegeta from the first Saiyan arc are similar. Well, yeah, they all have that holier than thou, I can beat whoever comes my way type of mentality. But see, Cell didn't have that initially. Let me pause this. Cell was sneaking around in the dark because he was acutely aware of the fact that there were multiple characters that could probably beat him up. That's one of the reasons I liked him so much is when he was in his first and second form because he knew, like I gotta stay in my own lane. And you don't really see that from any of the other villains in Z. At least out of the main ones anyway. They always try to basically act like they're top dog. No, I'd say the only thing I don't like about just Boo in terms of appearance is probably with Super Boo, where it's like I guess he just has too many forms for me. But it's I guess if it were just Fat Boo, Evil Boo, and then Super Boo, it would have been just fine. Or maybe those three, but then also Boo when he absorbs Go Tanks. Those probably would have been just decent, but you throw in another form for Super Boo, and then Kid Boo's a separate character. I'm like, oh my god, like that's unnecessary. Like we get it, he can transform. I understand. It's cool. We comprehend that. Yeah, I'd say my favorite thing with Super Boo is probably the fight with Gohan because he basically reveals he knows about him and he's been waiting for him. Evil Boo is technically a form too. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That they're all like there's four, and in the DB wiki, which is run by clowns, by the way, they gave Fat Boo This is so stupid. So they actually think that Fat Boo before he gets absorbed into making Super Boo, and then Fat Boo when he's like chucked up by Kid Boo are two separate characters, even though they have the exact same design. They retain the same like. Oh my god, so idiotic! I swear. Hey, Ruben, we're gonna make a separate page on there for Vegeta when he get like dies, and then when he comes back, even though it's the same character. That's probably the dumbest thing, deep like the most blatantly stupid thing that's on DB Wiki. Oh, we'll get to no. You know what? Maybe I'm not gonna put Ruben here because he's a separate character. He's a reincarnation. DB Wiki is just populated by. And it's like I go over to the page where they're discussing the article. They're like, "Oh, are we gonna make this a separate one?" And somebody actually just petitioned for that to happen. They were like, "Hey, they're separate characters." It's like, no, they're not. That's the whole point of him coming out of Kid Buu. It's the same person. Oh my god. Well, that's just my little tangent about these websites and the people that run them. I know I made that video like roasting Wikipedia, but at the very least, they actually they kept all the booze on one page. I'd rather that than a separate article for each form. That could be a good retcon to rationalize Vegeta being an evil villain that destroyed several planets at first. Yeah, but I'm saying that in the context of what we know about the actual story, that's still the same person. He just died and came back. So that was the point I was making. That these I don't know what's wrong with them. I just why can't they be normal? God, I'm embarrassed. Just as a Dragon Ball fan, that wiki looks so awful. Um, oh, I was gonna say, I think the biggest swerve for me because I remember when we saw and that's something Boo should get more credit for. Super Boo kills the most members of the main cast, I think. Like everybody that was on the lookout. So that's Krillin, Bulma, Roshi, Ox King, all these different people, 18. Uh, and just basically kind of gets away with it. And I remember distinctively that when I was talking about how the King Piccolo arc was such this big deal because you never saw Goku so angry over losing one of his friends. You could tell when Super Buu killed everybody off, and it was just kind of like whatever. That Toriyama was sick of his own show. Yeah, but you got the Bulbapedia. You can go over there for the information. It's way more stable over there. And that wiki is just garbage. And it didn't used to be that way. It was before Super came back. There was a guy who wrote all the articles, and he left. And then people just started writing. They had one dude write a whole paragraph for each episode, and I was like, "Who's going to read all of that?" That's why Jiren's page is bigger than Tien's because they're writing a novel for for every episode. I said, "Damn." Hey, but whatever. The only time they do that, and it kind of makes a little bit of sense, is with the manga because we only get one chapter a month, and that's like 2 or 3 episodes to be like that. That makes a little bit more sense. Everything else just stupid. So yeah, Super Buu kills the most of members of I guess the main cast of any villain, and I always chalked it up to being like really stupid because when you kill off a whole bunch of people, it's a statistic versus actually having an effect. Like it loses meaning after a while because it's not a specific person; it's a whole bunch. You can't focus on one person's death because all these other people got killed too. Um, I got really shocked when he absorbed Gotenks because I thought the way it was going to work was that Gohan gets his power up, he comes to Earth, takes out Super Buu, saves the day. But I remember thinking like because I said before, Toriyama has this thing where he refuses to ever let the hero just show up and just beat the villain like hell. Like there always has to be some kind of circumstance that makes it harder for some reason. So when I was reading it, or I guess watching it when it was on TV, it's like, oh, this makes sense because now Gohan's gonna have to find a way to beat Super Buu, even though the latter is now stronger. And I thought after because they have this little scene where when Goku comes to help him out when he's planning on fusing with Gohan, before Gohan gets absorbed, that it has Buu basically revert back to just having Piccolo absorbed because Goten and Trunks diffuse. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. So they're gonna have them beat Buu uh, in this weaker state. Like this is them, or they're gonna be around the same powers. Like, nope, we're gonna have him absorb Gohan too. This is the beginning of the Goku Vegeta suck off fest that we've been in for the last 20 years, and like basically in everything except GT, where it's just the Goku suck off fest. No, that was awful. They got me. I was so tricked. It's like I feel like the fool for thinking I recognized a pattern. I mean, it is a pattern, but they didn't do all the steps that they usually do. But yeah, they go inside Super Boo. He gets severed the from Fat Boo, and we get Kid Boo, which is probably one of the most overrated, in my opinion, devoid of character in the entire franchise. Like the only good thing about Kid Boo is I like his design, and that's pretty much it. He doesn't speak. Like I berated Super Boo for just being Cell with or Frieza pretty much, except in pink. And Kid Buu is just like I guess a literal plot device character. He has no personality. He just goes, eh. And I've seen some people who still like him that think he's cool. And I said, look, you can be a nice villain, but not. I guess my thing is when I see a character like that, where it just feels like there was no attempt to give them any actual personality whatsoever. That's how you know Toriyama got lazy. Like just to where he was like, let me just wrap this up. Let's just end it. But I did like the origin that they gave Kid Buu, that was the original form, and then because the Grand Supreme Kai got absorbed, that's how Kid Buu, not Kid Buu, how Fat Buu existed. Kid Buu is Taz from Looney Tunes. Hey, Ruben, have you ever heard about the Kid Buu Janemba romance, where it's like there's about 3 different games that have Kid Buu and Janemba meet each other and they're friends and they can understand each other, even though they're saying nothing except nonsense. I'm just picturing the 2 of them and like Darth Nihilus. So if you know who that is, just sitting around. They're like, yeah, yeah. All these characters can't. You don't even know what the hell they're saying, but they know what they're saying. They all recognize their own gibberish. No, the only good thing about Kid Buu is his design. Oh, and by the way, he was probably he. I said before that I really no. It's in Xenoverse 2 where there's like a level where it's Kid Buu and Janemba in hell, like wrecking everything, controlling the place. And then I think when you put them against each other in fighters, they can recognize each other's language. There's like 3 different games where it's the 2 of them talking to each other because they're so friendly. Now, Kid Buu is probably he's a good idea as far as a final fight, but I mentioned wanting to rewrite the Buu arc, but one of the things I don't like about him as a final fight is that if you're going to be the last fight of all of Dragon Ball, which is what that was meant to be, why the hell would you have literally every character that's not Goku or Vegeta just not be there? Like, at the very least, have Gohan, have Piccolo, have Krillin, because these are people who were major characters in Z up to that point. So it just seems really strange to not have any of them there. When I do my eventual rewrite of the arc, I'm going to mention how it would have made more sense to me if the final battle was Kid Buu versus, let's do it, Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Goten, Trunks, or Gotenks if you want, 18, Tien, Yamcha, like just basically everybody that was a fighter and got major focus during Z or the original series. And they all just team up and just blow him to pieces together. That would have been way better than let's bring back the Spirit Bomb for the 99th time because we have to trick people into thinking that the other characters actually did something in this fight. Oh, it was so awful. It's not a bad fight. It's not a I don't think a good fight to end the manga on. That's why I always just thought it was weird. It's like this is the final battle. Have none of the characters involved other than the supposed main character and the character that was introduced in the second half. I would have been just as annoyed by that fight if it was just Goku and Gohan, because there's so many other important characters that could have been involved with contributing to that. But yeah, that's pretty much my final sentiment on Kid Buu. He's a boring form that looks nice, looks pretty, but he's devoid of character, and that's a pity. Yeah, it's really a shame, because I gave Toriyama credit whenever he does a character that I think is really well done in terms of characterization, like Vegeta or Krillin or Piccolo. So when you have one of the villains just be complete, just I mean, there's nothing there. It's just as you said, Taz from Looney Tunes, and people like him. It's like, oh, he was so intimidating. I'm like, actually, no. Super Boo was the one that was going around killing all the main cast. Um, Hell, he's probably the least accomplished of any of the Boo form. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, because he did have the distinction of being like the only villain that actually blew up Earth after his other form killed everybody that was on there. So he basically just blew a rock of nothing. Yeah. All right, let's get to. Oh, I should also mention I was really happy when Fat Boo came back during that fight, because I really do like that form. Like, it's Fat Boo is probably, if I were to give them like each form a rating, I would give Fat Boo probably an 8 or 9 out of 10, like in terms of how much I like the character. And Super Boo is probably a 5 out of 10, and then Kid is probably a 2 or a 3. Like, I just like his design and that he is an intimidating antagonist, and that's pretty much it. Like, there's no characterization. Um, what else should we? I don't know if we should do Super or GT first, because what's a good way to say? I guess we'll do GT first. Yeah. Okay. So they don't use Boo at all during the Black Star Dragon Ball stuff, whatever. But they have a really good idea that they basically say to hell with, which is when Baby comes to Earth and starts infecting people, putting his eggs in everybody. We find out that Boo isn't affected because he's immune. Because if an egg goes in him, he can have a piece of his skin, just have it go back on. Like, it's a really good idea on the part of the writers of GT, because it makes total sense with what we know about Boo from when we went inside of Super Boo with Goku and Vegeta during the was it the like the parts right before the Kid Buu arc starts. So it was a really good idea, but I guess my issue is that I hate that for whatever reason they never think to have a fight between Boo and Baby. Like, we just never get to see them interact. The closest we get is Majub versus Baby, which is kind of eh. It's not a bad fight. It just is a placeholder. I gotta say, the episode where Oob is fighting Baby is probably one of my favorites in all of GT, because it's got this really nice split between, like, you're watching that fight and then you're seeing Goku getting like his tail extended so he can go Super Saiyan 4 to get this power up that the not Grand Supreme Kai, the Elder Kai was talking about. So Boo they could have given him a fight against Baby. I don't know why they didn't. They could have had Baby try to infect him. It doesn't work. He comes out, and then Boo punches him in the face or does something. Damn, they just they turn him into a power up, and then from then on, he's not in the show at all, other than one episode where he basically, I guess, controls Oop from inside to make him lose the match. It's like this one episode where he makes him lose a match to Satan to keep him as the champion, to preserve his image, which was really nice. But again, I was just thinking of how devoid the show was of that really good character, because there's nobody else like Boo in the cast, where they're not a kid, but then they kind of are, and they've got all these different unique abilities. Like, damn it, that's what I really hated about him being used for Majub, because Majub doesn't even do anything for the rest of the show other than get, you know, treated as fodder. Yeah, we can do a whole stream on Oob. He was so wasted. Like wasted in GT. They won't. They have him in Super for one page, and oh my god, he's never going to get his chance to shine. This is really disappointing. Would be good if Boo absorbed more. Wouldn't that be funny? Um, yeah. We'll get into that because that's another example I'm talking about where they give him like a little bit and I'm like, oh my god, yes, and then they go right back to treating him like trash. Frieza and Cell forms were still the same character. Yeah, no, that's my point. That I like Frieza has what five, not five. Well, yeah, five forms, but I never say, oh, it's too many because it's one character just transforming. Whereas with Boo, it's literally four different characters. You got Fat Boo, you got Evil Boo, you got Super Boo, and Kid Boo. It would be funny if we got to see all of them interact. But yeah, that's pretty much Boo's role in GT. He could have a good fight with Baby, but they chose not to, and he gets turned into a power up and shelved for the rest of the show. Really lame. Uh, so it's Super. He's got a much better track record, but basically because the writers are very lazy, they choose to just not have him ever be involved with fighting at all. Or if he is, he's just completely outclassed. So during the Battle of Gods film / saga, all he does is get smacked up against Gohan by Beerus, which I had the problem with because this is what I was talking about when I said if you can't use a character in a way where their powers are not made to not just not be used for whatever reason, then don't have them there. They could have easily had when Boo was getting pushed up against Gohan by Beerus, him use his little tentacle. I guess that's the name for it. The thing on his head, and then just turn Beerus into chocolate. But they choose to make him forget that ability for whatever reason. And then I heard somebody who was like, "Oh well, if he has that move, it breaks the story." It's like no, because we've seen characters deflect that blast. Like when Oob was fighting Baby and he shot him with the chocolate beam and Baby deflected it, hit him back with it. Or when Evil Boo was fighting Fat Boo and he deflected the blast and hit him with it. I really hate people not like just they keep pretending that move automatically makes it to where you can't use this character, and it's not true. Hell, they could make a character who's immune to getting turned into anything. Like that's their special ability. They can't be possessed. They can't, I don't know why they won't go that direction. It's really stupid. So during the Resurrection F arc, he's not used there. Now when we got the first tournament, this is 2016, when that Universe 6 poster dropped, and it had Goku, Vegeta, Boo, Piccolo, and then some other character, Monaka, who actually looks like an earlier sketch of Boo. Like when Boo was first getting designed, that's when Monaka appears to be based off of. I don't know if that's true or not. I've seen the sketch. They look alike. I can put it in the chat if people don't believe me. But when this picture first dropped, to say that I wasn't excited would be a complete lie. I was like, yes, we're finally going to see Boo and Piccolo fight again. It's been so long. And, I won't even speak about the disgrace that was Piccolo's performance in that tournament. But they don't even let Boo fight. They have him fall asleep after filling out the test. Like, what? So what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why would you make him part of the team if all he's going to do is just waste a space? God, I don't know what's wrong with this. That's why I said the writers are clowns, because that's literally something where they could have just had, okay, you can't use Boo, use Krillin, use Gohan, use Yamcha, Tien. There's like all these other characters that they could have had a fight, but instead you put Boo on the team so that you can trick us into having the tournament basically be one fight for Piccolo and Goku, and then 3 fight. Well, no, I got that. Take it back. 1 fight for Piccolo, 2 fights for Goku, and 4 fights for Vegeta. They duped us. They duped me. That was a good trick. You should have seen how pissed I was when that episode. I remember. I think I stopped watching. No, I didn't stop watching it, but I came close. I was really upset because that poster had me excited. Like the excitement that you get when you see, like basically the way that people react to those Marvel movies, where they're like, "Oh, here's the trailer, here's the poster." That's how I reacted to seeing that poster because I was so excited to see Boo and Piccolo fight some people, and we got 1 fight from Piccolo and nothing from Boo. I guess I'm glad that he's getting animated and current stuff, but if you're not going to do anything with him, it's kind of pointless. Just don't include him. GT had it right. They wouldn't even give Yamcha or Tien a single line. If you're not going to use the character, don't include him. It's a really good idea, in my opinion. Just don't bother. Like, what's the point? We're gonna have you sit here and take up space. What a terrific writing decision that was. But they don't even have him in the Goku Black arc / Future Trunks arc, which I have a problem with because there was always this thing in the fandom before Super came out. So the period of, I think it's like 91 is when the Cell arc happened, and then also up until like 2016, where people wondered in this 25-year period what happened to Future Trunks, and specifically they wondered if he was able to beat whatever version of Boo or like the Boo arc that took place in this timeline was. So you're going to have an arc that answers the question of what happened to Boo in the Future Trunks timeline, which that he never actually was able to get out. But then you're not going to have Boo at least play some kind of role, do something, anything at all. No, all right. We're just going to have, in my opinion, it would have been really cool if, because they believe in using different techniques sometimes because they brought back the Mafuba. If either Goku or Vegeta got Boo to come with them to Future Trunks' timeline and try to have him turn Zamasu into candy, the future Zamasu that was immortal, because that would be another way of beating him without actually killing him. I don't know how he would still be immortal if he's candy. Like, does it? You just bite it and it just grows back. It's weird. But that would have been nice just to see him fight the two of them. In my opinion, anyway. People are gonna have their own disagreements. I just think it would have been cool to see the timeline that was spared of Boo be saved by Boo, at least have him contribute to saving it. And like I said, it's another one of those things where we get these like good ideas and they just don't go anywhere. So it's a good idea to have Boo interact with Future Trunks because Future Trunks doesn't know what it's like to be around Boo because his version of that character didn't become a thing. So it would have been really cool to see the two of them have some kind of interaction, but we don't get that, which is really lame. Also, just like how it was cool to see a good Vegeta fighting evil Goku, it would have been cool to see a good Boo fighting an evil Goku, like basically an inversion of the fight between Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Boo in the Boo arc. Just narrative-wise, it would have been a decent thing to view, in my opinion. What was I going to say? So when the Tournament of Power first was revealed, we got this. It just like with the first tournament, we got this big poster. And all the characters were going to participate. You see Boo standing in like one corner, and I got so excited. I'm like, yes, great, terrific. They're going to use him at last. And I thought what they were going to do was have his character not grow, but kind of, he would feel bad about the fact that he keeps missing out on these major events because he keeps falling asleep. They would have him go, hey, you know what? You guys could have really used me when you were dealing with this stuff with Black, or with this tournament where I basically screwed myself over. I apologize. Because his thing is that he's childlike, but he still has the ability to recognize the feelings of others. And I thought it would have been a really cool, I guess, growth of his character, or at least something that, at the very least, seemed to push his character in, understanding where he makes mistakes. Like him being in character, pretty much. But we got a fight between him and Bazil, which is one of the universe. I think that was Universe 9, the universe with all the wolves, and it was really cool. And I was really impressed. It's probably in my top 10 favorite episodes of Super. Um, that little mini tournament I really like because, well, most specifically, I like Boo's fight and Gohan's fight. But I remember there was something in me that after I saw that fight, just internally, I thought to myself, there's like for some reason they're not going to do, and I guess maybe it's harder to believe this now than it would have been to say, uh, a couple years ago when the arc was still going on. But I internally felt like, because I know how Dragon Ball works, they give you a cool fight or some decent moment, and then you get screwed afterward. Like they'll give, oh, Goku beats the henchman of Moro, and they know he's getting smashed by Moro. That's how this series is. They trick you because they lower your guard. Your defenses are down because it seems like they're doing good basically. Um, I assumed that they were either going to do one of two things. They were going to have, well, no, I'm not going to say one of two things because I genuinely didn't see the Frieza thing coming. But I thought they were going to have Boo either get eliminated very early or fall asleep during, like in the tournament. Some kind of like weird stuff where he just wasn't going to do as much as the rest of the group, and that they were letting him be in this exhibition match because they were trying to like say, "Oh, here's a little thing after you've waited for so many arcs. Go to hell." um, and they did that pretty much, except they didn't actually let him be in the tournament itself. They had him just sleep. By the way, that's actually an idea that Toriyama came up with. So, you know, he's stupid for doing that, and I don't care. I know a lot of the Dragon Ball fans like to act like he's God, but that was a really dumb idea. If you wanted to have Frieza in the tournament, he should have taken either Tien's place or Roshi's place because they've been the least used out of anybody, and they were. Roshi actually did get to be pretty cool in the tournament, I'll admit, but Tien probably would have been the most suitable substitute, or make a last minute change to allow 11 people on each team. You know, that was a really dumb decision to get rid of Boo. And again, I'm saying that as someone that liked Frieza's role in that arc, that thought he contributed well to the story. But it was a really, really dumb idea to have this character you didn't use this whole show and basically just kind of trick us into thinking that he was going to get used. Because I remember I said that one of the things I like about Tournament of Power is it's really the only arc post Z that's made of like any real uses of Gohan's character, of 18's character, of 17's character, um, of Piccolo. Just a lot of characters that they've been ignoring and treating like trash throughout both Super and GT got some spotlight at once, and it was nice. But that's why I was really looking forward to seeing what Boo would do, and we just never got it. And it's a damn shame because I was actually talking to this one person when the tournament was coming out, and they were like, "Oh, well, the reason that they don't use Boo is because his powers break the story." And I'm just looking at him and I'm saying, "You're in a tournament that has 80 competitors, 70 opponents for Boo potentially. I know he's not going to fight all of them, but it's like you want me to believe that these writers, these artists, they're so lazy they can't come up with a character who either is immune to Boo's chocolate beam or any of his different skills, or can deflect them, or like who believes that? Like who buys that? I don't. And that's why I said, I don't subversions are not always a bad thing. Um, I was really happy with the subversion of Goku wouldn't beat Cell, for example. But you can't jerk someone around and expect for that person not to get pissed off when the story has told them this is what they can reasonably assume is going to happen. If I spent a whole arc having Goku train to beat the main villain or whatever, and then at the last minute he fails, and then Yamcha, who hasn't even been in the arc, just completely defeats everybody, that's the kind of stupid stuff I'm talking about, where it's like, you guys, yeah, you subverted my expectation, but you still, were stupid for doing that. So that was a really dumb thing that the writers did. I know Ruben was happy to see his boy Frieza back. He's like, yes, the Emperor has returned. Okay, so if I were to give some hypotheticals, I would have liked to have seen, because even if Boo didn't have a fight with Jiren, like let's say they just encountered each other, I would have liked to have seen him try to use the chocolate beam on Jiren, and then Jiren deflects it, and then maybe when he's trying to punch Boo, his hand just gets stuck. I mean, there's so many different ways they could have had him interact with people in a decent way, in an interesting way rather. I realize that Boo and Piccolo are like these. They're similar, but they're not, in the sense that they have completely different personalities. But I like both of them so much because they look so radically different from the rest of the cast, and they've got these really unique abilities, and the writers just keep crapping on them. Man, Ruben, you probably even watched Tournament of Power. That they look. I agree that they screwed Frieza up in Resurrection F. As far as like, not, I like just the arc. I don't really like that much, but the arc was made in actually being able to hold some water in the story because of the Tournament of Power. I just think he was used way more effectively there. I still want Cooler to get brought back. I think he will. I mean, hell, if they'll bring back Broly, they can bring back anybody. And they're not making any new villains anymore. Only thing I hope is that they don't try to make him friendly. I hope they don't try to make him a good guy. We got enough good guys. That's why this one person called it friend ball, where everybody's friend. Who else could Boo have fought? Maybe Hit, where like Hit has him like he's using his powers on. Just you know what I'm saying. There were so many people that he could have had a battle with. But Boo joins the rest of the majority of the people in the Tournament of Power that were wasted. He's right up there with the two Namekians from Universe 6, and other people like Tien and Krillin. But yeah, like I was saying, I thought he was wasted in that arc. I thought he was wasted in all of Super pretty much. And then when chapter, what was it, 42 of the manga came out, and they ended it with Boo getting kidnapped, seemingly by the Galactic Patrol. I was like, what the hell? And I thought, oh my God, they're finally going to do it. They're going to have an arc where maybe Boo might actually do some cool stuff and get focused on and be part of the group, like the regular characters. So he's asleep for a while. It's Goku and Vegeta time as usual. And the main character I was interested in was Moro at that point, because he was seemingly doing some unique stuff in terms of villain. Not so much his personality. His personality is just King Piccolo. But they have this fight between Boo and Moro that's maybe like a half a chapter, and it's probably in my top 5 favorite chapters of the manga, because it's just so nice to see. It's a really good fight, in terms of just Boo getting to actually beat somebody up. And I was gonna say, one of the things I like about the Moro arc is that it tries to tie back into Z, because the Grand Supreme Kai, when he was defeated by Kid Buu, he was so weak because of using all his power on sealing Moro. So that's why I was really thinking that, oh my God, this is going to be the arc, basically Boo's biggest arc since the Boo arc itself. Which that's not saying much, but I was really excited. We see Boo get this really cool fight, and then right after that, Grand Supreme Kai is like, "I'm going to take over for him until Moro is dealt with." I'm like, what the hell? So then there's this one chapter where Grand Supreme Kai and Goku and Vegeta are all fighting Moro, and I'm like, blah 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 blah. And then we find out that Boo's asleep again, like I think a chapter later. Yeah, I remember I think it's the same chapter where Piccolo beat up the guys that were coming to Earth. That trio of siblings. But yeah, I got really disappointed because this arc started with Boo getting kidnapped. We learn a little bit about his origins. He gets a cool fight, and now he's been out of most of it. That was the last time we saw Boo in this arc. Remember, we're at chapter 60 right now. We're going to be at chapter 61 this month. But the last time we saw Boo in this arc was literally, I think, 8 or 9 months ago. So basically, half of an arc that started with him getting kidnapped and seemingly being one of the main focuses doesn't even have him in it. Damn, I hate Toyotaro so much. Like, oh my God, I don't know what's wrong with them. Oh, I didn't even read Elliot's comment. Cookie Jiren. Yeah, they could. That would have been funny. Imagine like, oh, strong Jiren just turned to a cookie, and then all the Galactic Patrol has to like surround him to make sure that they can find a way to reverse. It'd have been cool if they had like some member of Galactic Patrol get turned to a cookie by Boo, and then Jiren like grabs Boo, and he's like, "I will eliminate you unless you turn this person back into their regular form." And then that's when Boo would turn them back into their regular form, and then Jiren would leave them alone and go back to doing other stuff. Yeah, it's such a shame. I really I think Fat Boo is an excellent character that they just waste like almost criminally. And it sucks because he's got these unique powers. He can have really interesting interactions with the rest of the cast, and we only ever get to see glimpses of that. He's similar to Piccolo in that he doesn't really have, because even Goku and Vegeta have ages on them, but him and Piccolo have eternal, seemingly are going to always be the age that they are. So I don't understand. It's weird to me that they decided they're going to have characters this way where they just never have any kind of time to actually be on screen and do anything. It's like every single arc has to have just Goku and Vegeta, even if the story doesn't call for it. And I guess I wouldn't even be as annoyed by that if they would just let other people get to do something for once. So I said it's very aggravating to be a Dragon Ball fan, because it's kind of similar to how I feel about Naruto, where they make all these really good characters, in my opinion, and they treat them like trash unless they're like one or two of the same people. It's really frustrating. What game was it? I think it was Budokai, not Tenkaichi, but the Budokais that came out before that, where it had special forms for Boo. Like there was a form where he absorbed Tien, there was a form where he absorbed Vegeta, there was a form where he absorbed Cell or Frieza, like one of those two. They look kind of cool in my opinion. Too bad you don't see them in anything else. They've really wasted Boo. So in GT, all he gets to do is basically be a fusion component and make like one cameo after that. And then in Super, all he does is go to sleep. It's like, to hell with him actually doing anything. Which is a real big shame, because his character seems kind of like, I can write scenarios where he actually can have decent fights. And if I can write it, I know that these paid writers can do it. I think about it. Him and Baby, just like going back to GT, they had the same sort of gimmick where, uh, Boo can absorb people, Baby can possess people. Like they have this thing of merging with people in one sense, unwillingly on the other person's part. It would have been a perfect contrast to have the last villain who could do that, even though Boo didn't actually like it was his other forms that were really doing specifically just Super Boo. It would have been nice to see him be able to, have like a contrasting fight with Baby where it's like, yeah, I used to absorb, but I don't do that anymore. These are my friends. I won't let you do what I did to them again. Basically, it was like, oh my god, he's so wasted, almost criminally. Like it should be a crime when you write this show now to just keep doing that to Boo. Like if you don't want him to appear in the arc, whatever, but to just keep saying that he's asleep, just over and over again. Yeah, Galactic Patrol arc is. I've tried to give it credit where other people haven't. I'm gonna at least say that they have the distinction of treating Boo probably the best out of any arc of like anything after Z. Which again is not saying much, but they at least give him a little bit more to his origin. They have a fight. He's the a plot device. God, if I got my wish, we would have a like for the final fight against Moro, you would have Vegeta, Boo, and then like maybe Piccolo or Krillin team up to beat him, along with maybe Gohan and the androids. Like just have a whole group of them take him out in some unique way. It would be cool if Boo trains Oop to unlock his power. Well, remember they won't let us see anything past Z, the end of Z, outside of GT. So you know we might not get that until 2040. I'm just imagining Dragon Ball Super Chapter 300 plus. It's like, oh, they were finally getting Oop content. We know you've been waiting for it for 50 years. Jesus Christ. I don't know what's wrong with them. It's a damn shame. No, it'd been cool if we got to see like the different versions of Boo interact because we never really. I think the only version of Boo that Fat Boo didn't talk to was Super Boo because he was part of the fusion. I guess basically Fat Boo has the distinction of being the only form of Boo that's actually seen other versions of himself outside of. Um, yeah, he's the only one. Wow, yeah. We need a Boo show where it's Boo, Evil Boo, Super Boo, Kid Boo, and Oob just hanging out. That's gonna be Ruben's favorite Dragon Ball series. It's gonna be called The Boos. Just the five of them going around fighting together. But yeah, even though I'm talking all this good stuff about Fat Boo, let it be known I'm not a fan of the other versions. Like I think Oob is a good character too that they keep not being able to use him because they're too stupid to go past the end of Z and let us actually see him and Goku train together. Uh, but like Super Boo is just kind of whatever. Kid Boo is like I said, he's got a really nice design. He's intimidating, but it's just basically Fat Boo is worth all the Boos put together. Like he's got more character than all of them if you just merge them, which is ironic because they actually do merge together. But I still think it would be really cool if we got an arc where they all met each other. Like Boo has to basically fight his demons, where he has to fight all the other versions of Boo with Oob. Like they team up. I'd say Boo's probably the only character introduced after the Cell arc. Um, that I just really, really like. I mean, I really like Hit, but just in terms of stuff that's coming Super, but I think Goten is just Goku, the poor man's version, and Future Trunks is was perfect, but Kid Trunks is just kind of a poorer version of that, and Videl is just there to make babies with Gohan. Like he's the only one that really, after the Cell arc that's been introduced, where I'm like, oh, they really should use him because he's distinct from the rest of the cast. He's not another Saiyan. I guess he follows the tradition of a villain becoming good, but I'm perfectly fine with that, especially if he can have interesting interactions with the rest of the group, which is what he's been shown to do. Like it is such a shame. Oh my god. That's why I thought the stream writers need to get a clue on how to use Boo. They just don't know, and they've really been hurting their series by keeping them out. I didn't think we would get done this quick, damn. But yeah, I'm gonna go because I've got some stuff I'm gonna try to do. So I hope you enjoyed this. Um, like I said, I love Fat Boo. The other versions are kind of whatever, uh, and it's really sad that these supposed good writers. Cell looks really squishy. Like which version of Cell? Akira Toriyama is scared to change. They worry about their fan base and marketing. I mean, I'll concede, he might not be as marketable as because I get people, there are those little boys that like the big buff characters or whatever. But my thing is this: if all the characters look the same, then like what? Basically, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not saying make it to where he's like the main character or to hell with Goku and Vegeta, but I don't get where you can't have some variety of, oh, there's the green guy, there's the fat pink guy, and then there's the two buff Saiyans. Like I don't understand why we can't get some of that variety, especially if the characters are varying in their abilities and personalities. So yeah, I think Boo is one of the better characters introduced in Z. Because I said before that the only two that are really from Z that anyone really likes are Gohan, not Piccolo, Vegeta, and Future Trunks, like those three. But Boo's probably like right underneath them. Toriyama only cares about his Japanese audience, like most other Japanese content makers, and DB is no longer popular in Japan. I mean, you remember the ratings for it when it left, so that there's some validity to that. Oh, Cell's first form. No, that form was scary. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll do another stream tomorrow, and then I'll do another Dragon Ball stream next Sunday. So I appreciate you showing up. Have a good day.